What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne,
I'm Alicia.
and this is Blackboard Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there.
Waiting to be played by you and yours. I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate complication.
Hey, everybody! Today, we're going to do a little exploring.
We're going to talk about a game called Maps of Misterra.
Now, Maps of Misterra has three designers, so I hope I say them right. Designed by Matthew Bossou, Thomas Carriat, and Timothy Dequoy, and published by Sit Down Games.
Let's go to the table for an overview of how this game is played.
Maps of Misterra is a tile placement area majority game for 1 to 4 players, where the players take on the roles of cartographers who are exploring a newly discovered island. To set up the game, we will place the island board in the middle of the table in reach of all players. And then we will place the 4 different terrain tiles with their hazy side up in their designated spots on the island board. So right here we have mountains, we have lagoon, we have the jungle, and we have steppe, which is pretty much open grassland. And the beach is over on this side. And I'm going to explain why that's important in a little bit. And then we're going to place jungle tiles confirmed side up out onto the island board based on the number of players. So if we were setting up for a 4-player game, we would place a jungle tile here. If we were setting up for a 3-player game, place a jungle tile confirmed side up right there. If we're setting up for a 2-player game, we will place a jungle tile right here. Next, the players are going to shuffle up this deck of presumption cards, and then we're going to deal 4 to each player. Then each player is going to study their 4 presumption cards, and then they're going to choose 2 to keep, keeping them face down in front of them, and then they're going to take the other 2 and return those to the box without letting the players see what they are. Next, we're going to take the sketch cards, making sure to return the ones designated for a higher player count back to the box. And then after giving those cards a good shuffle, we're going to place it in a face down deck next to the island board. And then we're going to reveal 5 cards face up to form a display. Each player is going to choose a color, and they're going to receive their matching character card, a cartographer meeple, and 3 claim tokens, along with a parchment board, which they're going to make sure that it's oriented the same way as the island board. So you see where the pencil and the clip is, that's going to be in the same spot as the terrain tiles on the island board, and on this side, this is where the beach will be. And then one player is going to randomly get the first player token, and then we can start the game. Starting with the first player, the players are going to take turns going clockwise. And a player's turn is broken up into 2 half days, and each half day has 3 phases. They're going to move your cartographer meeple, then you're going to pick a sketch card, and then you're going to map or claim. So let's say the first player, they're going to move. So when moving at the beginning of the game, your cartographer meeple isn't even on the island yet. So you're going to place your meeple onto one of these beach spots, and you can start at any one. And keep in mind, several cartographer meeples can occupy the same space. So let's say the first player is going to place their cartographer there, and then they're going to pick a sketch card. After taking his sketch card, he decides he's going to map. So mapping means he's going to place this sketch card into 2 spaces on his parchment board. And he can place it in any orientation if he wanted to. So he could place it this way if he wanted to or whatever. But the thing is, when mapping, you have to place the sketch card where the cartographer meeple can see. So which means it has to be orthogonally adjacent to the spot that meeple is on. So remember, the meeple's on the beach right here. So he decides he's going to place this into this orientation right here. After placing that sketch card onto their parchment board, the player has to update the island board to match their parchment board. So to update, they're going to take lagoon tiles and place it into the exact same spot as they are on his parchment board. And we're going to place those hazy side up, which means these have not been confirmed yet. That player thinks that's lagoon, but he's not sure yet. So after that's done, the first half of his turn is over, and this does not refill. So now he takes the second half of his turn, which means he gets to move. And so he's going to move his meeple onto the island. And when moving on the island, you have to move your meeple onto a terrain tile. You can't be, and they have to move orthogonally adjacent. So you can't move them in the empty spots. Now, these terrain tiles have certain abilities that go off when moving your meeple onto them. And I'll talk about the other ones later on, but when you move onto a lagoon tile, you may take one of these sketch cards and place it on the bottom of the sketch deck and then reveal another sketch card before choosing your sketch card. So he decides he's not going to do that. So let's say he's just going to choose this sketch card, okay? So he decides that he's going to map again. Now, when placing these sketch cards out onto your parchment board, any number of sketch cards can occupy the same space, because there's definitely a reason you want to be doing that in the game. So this player decides he's going to place this sketch card right there. Now remember, sketch cards has to be placed orthogonally adjacent to your cartographer meeple, but they can also be placed on the same spot that their meeple is on. So if you remember, their cartographer is standing in this spot on the island board. So now we have to update the island board again. Now if you remember, he placed a sketch card that had jungle on this side and lagoon on this side. Now this jungle has already been confirmed. So if ever a terrain tile has been confirmed, doesn't matter what a person does on their parchment board, it doesn't change. So this is jungle for the remainder of the game. Fortunately, he placed a jungle sketch card onto his parchment board. But now this lagoon here, since there's a lagoon right there, this gets flipped over, and now it's confirmed that this is lagoon, and it cannot be changed for the rest of the game. So now this player's turn is over. We will reveal 2 new cards out onto the display, and then the next player will go. And so let's say, like I said, their first turn, they decide they're going to move here. Let's say they decide to move here, and then they take this sketch card. So now this sketch card comes out. They decide to place it in this orientation here on their board. So what happens, we take 2 mountain tiles, hazy side face up, and we place it here. And then this is changed because it hasn't been confirmed yet. So this player is saying, hey, I don't think that's lagoon, I think that's mountain. So now we have to replace that with mountain right here. And so now this player does his second half of his turn, and he moves onto this mountain. So mountain has a special ability, is when you're on that specific terrain tile, you can map one space over. Remember, you can only map orthogonally adjacent, so this player can actually map way over there if they wanted to. But they decide that they're just going to do this, and they're going to place this on their terrain board like that. So now he has confirmed that this is mountain. It can't change. But now there's a hazy jungle in this spot right here. Let's say this is the state of the board later on in the game, and it's this player's turn. So he decides he's going to move, so he moves onto the step. Now the step special ability is when you land on one of these terrain tiles, you get a free movement, and then you can activate the movement on the next tile. So also, these abilities go off whether or not these terrain tiles are hazy side up or confirmed side up. So let's say this character goes here, he gets a free movement, he goes over here, he gets another free movement, and he moves into the jungle. Okay? Now, when in the jungle, the ability that goes off there is you cannot map, because thematically you're deep in the jungle. You can't see nothing. So the other thing that you can do on the third phase of your half day is to claim. So when claiming, you still have to pick one of those sketch cards, but then you discard it, removing it from the game, and then you take one of your claim tokens and you place it on that spot that you're on. You have to be standing on that spot. So now this player will score 2 points per square in that specific terrain type. So right now he's scoring 4 points at the end of the game. If he gets this confirmed, then it connects with that, he gets 8 points. Now this player, not gonna let that one flip over, because no, you cannot. I'm not gonna let you score all those points. So when a player claims a certain terrain type, they cannot claim another jungle area. So they have 3 claim tokens, so they have to do lagoon, mountain, or steppe. Also, once an area is claimed by a player, the other player cannot place a claim token on there. They can claim another jungle area. Now, if ever one player's jungle area connects with another player's jungle area, now they have 2 claim tokens on that area, and neither player will score points for that. So the game will continue like that until one of 3 things happen that will trigger the end of the game. If the island board is completely filled with terrain tiles that have all been confirmed, or there are no more sketch cards left, which means the deck is totally gone and there's none in the display, or a player has completely filled out their parchment board. Then we will finish up the round, making sure everybody gets an equal number of turns, and then the game will end. Before we tally up our prestige points, if there are any terrain tiles that have not been confirmed, they will get removed from the board. So let's say this was still on the shady side, and let's say this tile was on the shady side. Then these tiles will be removed from the board. Using the score sheet that comes included in the game, the players are going to tally up their prestige points. First, they're going to check their parchment board, and they're going to score 2 points for each parchment square that matches what's on the island board. And then they're going to subtract a point for each empty square they have. Then they're going to reveal their presumption cards, and then they're going to score points based on those. And the presumption cards pay attention to what's on your parchment board. Doesn't matter what's on the island board. Lastly, each player is going to score 2 points per terrain tile that makes up the regions that they claimed out on the island board. And then once all the prestige points have been counted, whoever has the most points will be the winner of Maps of Misterra. So the first thing I have to point out is I really like the theme of this game. I mean, that's what really attracted me to this game, because I love games where we are going out exploring and stuff.
Honestly, the theme appeals to me because you're exploring to create a map, and I do love maps. So
Yeah,
the
you do
thing,
like your maps.
so the theme was cool. I think the theme was appealing.
Yeah. So, and I think it's thematic in the way where when you move your cartographer on those certain terrain types, the abilities that you're able to do. Like when you go into the jungle, you can't map because you can't see nothing.
Yeah.
Or you go on a mountain tile.
And you can see further. You can map further because you can see further.
Yep. And you go on the steps. It gives you like there's no obstructions, so you could just move right through it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I really love the way they integrated the theme into this game.
Yeah, that was a good place to do it. Yes.
Now, what did you think about the components?
All right. Let's talk about those adorable meeples. I love the screen printing. I love that each is depicted differently, and it adds variety, and it just gives more personality to the game.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I like that. And honestly, I'm gonna jump into the art too. I love the colors used in this game. Um, they just seem a little bit more different to me than the colors you usually encounter, but they match the theme. I love that olive green, but oh, that orange and that purple,
Oh,
they
the
just
meatball.
pop. My goodness, I love those colors.
Yeah, they did use some different colors in this
Yes,
game.
and I
You know,
like that.
because usually you see yellow and you see blue and red.
Yes.
But they did something different, you know.
Yes.
And I did enjoy that also.
And honestly, orange and purple can be, just for me personally, that color combination is appealing. I don't know why, but and I, which is typical of games with different terrains. I like the way they use color to signal what type of terrain it was. So the yellowish for the steppe, the green, the lush green for the jungle.
Yeah.
I think they did that well, and it's visually appealing. So yeah, they did.
Yeah,
that.
I love when you actually finish the island board and you take a look at it and it's all these different colors like the jungle and all
Yes.
that. I really like that part.
Yeah, that is good.
Now, back since we jumped to art, I have to comment that I love the art on the cover of the box. I mean, if I was walking through a board game store and I saw this game on the shelf, I'd been like, "What is this game about?" So you got this flying ship over some mountains. I was like, it looks epic.
I can see that. I can see that.
So, what did you think about the gameplay? I mean, the mechanics. I'm sorry.
Well, you have open draft and tile placement and area majority, which isn't my favorite mechanic. However, I really do enjoy any game that allows me to make choices. So that open drafting and tile placement, I like that.
Yeah, I really like, but I do like the area. I'm not a fan of area majority, but I've been finding some games that have really been drawing me in to like there's area majority and then there's area control, and then this is area majority, and I love the player interaction.
Yes, there is player interaction, but it's not a mean take that kind of player interaction. I do believe that it's impossible to play this game without interacting with the other players.
Yeah, I appreciate the interaction, and like you said, it's not a mean interaction. It's more of a, oh, you thought this was mountain, huh? Well, no, that was lagoon. I mean, it's reminiscent of a game that you played only once, but it's a game that I really love called Remember Our Trip.
I remember that game.
Where you're trying to remember, the places that you visited in Tokyo, And so that's I guess that's why I'm really drawn to this game, other than the theme. It's just that player interaction. It's a race to try to figure out how this island is supposed to look. And then you're trying to make sure your parchment board matches up with the island board because that's where you get a good amount of points.
So I do think that creates the interesting tension in the game, trying to make those two match. And the other thing I think that creates the interesting tension is, so you have your own private objectives and your opponents have their private objectives. And so you don't have the same objectives, which makes it good because you're not directly competing like that. But because you each have different objectives, you're each going to be doing different things to that board. So you want your parchment to match up with theirs, and they want their parchment to match. So that creates some interesting player interaction.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed, like when you start out, you're just trying to, build up the map. But when you get towards the end of the game, you're placing sketch cards to like, okay, I got to make sure that my parchment board matches up with that island board because we're getting close to the end of the game, and you score those negative points for empty spots.
Right, and you want to make sure you don't have empty spots too.
Yeah, or make sure that those terrain types match up
as much as possible.
Yeah, so I really, really like that. Now, I played it at 2-player with you, but I've also played it solo. I love the solo mode, and I played it at 3-player. Now, I don't know if 4-player, I think it might be a little chaotic.
I can see.
Because the board doesn't grow.
I can see it being a little bit more energetic at 3 players. But yeah, I think 4 players might be a bit much.
Yeah, and I think some of the presumption cards you would not be able to fulfill those at a 4-player count.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, but I like the 3-player, because like I said, that player interaction, changing the board.
Oh, you're going to have player interaction at 3 players. Yes.
So, yeah, I really did. So, I guess we jumped right into gameplay. And like I said, the interactions, that's what I really love most about this game, other than the theme.
So, for me, this game has so many things that I like in the game, but for some reason, it's not a game that I would just play again and again and again. I did enjoy it, but there are other games that give me what I really love in more.
You just don't like that people are messing with your mouth.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not gonna disagree.
That's what that sounds like.
I like the game, but if I had a choice between this and other games with similar mechanics, I would probably not pick this one.
I'm going to pick this one. I like this game. I mean, like I said, I like the theme. You're exploring, and I really love the player interaction. I like the building of your map, trying that puzzle or that challenge of matching up your parchment board to match that island board. And, I do like the presumption cards and stuff. I really do like this game.
I mean, this game was an enjoyable experience, but it's not gonna make my top.
We gonna play it at 3-player. All
right. Okay.
Yeah, I think I think you will enjoy it at 3-player.
Okay.
Like I said. But anyway, that's how we feel about Maps of Misterra. Misterra. I always say Mysteria. I don't know. Misterra. We differ a little bit, but I think this is an enjoyable game. And if you like that player interaction, that area majority, that kind of push your luck because you're wondering whether or not should I map or should I claim this before so-and-so come over and claim this area.
Yes.
So you got to pay attention to what everybody else is doing at the table.
Yes, you do.
So, yeah, if you like that type of gameplay, Maps of Misterra is a great game to check out.
Yes.
So, if you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
This has been Blackboard Gaming.
We will see you next time.